Yeah, I mean, they did well. They're actually making all the right moves from a business perspective that they need to in order to grow a nice, long, sustainable business. One of the things that we've always said, especially on our podcast, is they need to push down market. They need to stop focusing on just big clients and that's it, and not do outreach. The fact that their outreach is grown, their marketing has been a lot better. I posted on Twitter too, like their marketing's really on another level the last 6 months. So whatever they're doing, it's actually effective. And over time, it's just going to keep growing, So I think overall the quarter was good. The only thing I would caution a lot of people, especially in the chat, is don't go too crazy. Like, don't just go, oh my God, this is it. Like, we're gonna go, it's an exponential growth curve. We're gonna go to $30 next month. Like, yeah, that's if Palantir ended up going to $30, that would be a really bad sign, because that means that this is a meme stock. You don't want this company to be a meme stock. You want this company to be one of those generational opportunities where you're getting to go in at a very low point, at a low base, and then 10 years later you wake up and you're a millionaire, right? That's what you want. You don't want to be a millionaire overnight. Anyone that's looking for huge moves up overnight is not doing their homework on how this business is working. The whole thing with me right now is just going to be nice, consistent growth going forward between 20 and 30%, hopefully on the 30% side for the next 10 years. And that compounds. That compounding effect is what you're looking for in a business that you want to invest in, right? You don't want to invest in a company has 1 year where they grow triple digits and then another year where they grow, single digits. Like, you don't want that. You want nice, consistent growth. And that's why I would say the best way to approach this company, it would be the same thing that I said a long time ago, which is dollar cost average. But if it does get too expensive in a short period of time, consider also, just holding off on buying more and wait until the price comes down a little bit.
All right. So Chris, are you buying?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep DCAing now. My wife is happy because she's the only one that has Palantir in her portfolio.
But no. My question is more fundamental than, I didn't just mean, are you buying the stock? Like, are you buying it? I mean, are you feeling comfortable with the narrative if things changed a little bit after this call, or do you feel like you want to be a real shareholder?
Yeah, of course. I think this was the turning point that we needed, because now there were 2 to 3 things that were confirmed for me that really helped. Number one is, can they grow profitably, right? If you have a company that's just growing but has never been able to show any profit, that's not good. You eventually need to show that you have some level of profitability. So right now, that was one thing. So they can grow profitably. Number 2, can they scale? The number of companies that they were able to add definitely means they're able to scale, right? You can't just add that many customers quarter over quarter and year over year and not say, and not be able to justify that. So the scaling issue is something that's secondary now. The only thing is, and this is the one thing that's probably going to haunt them for the short term, is valuation is still high relative to their net income. But that's something that someone kept bringing up on the chat. When you look at companies like this and they're like, oh, the PE is 1,500. Well, yeah, if you look at Amazon was like, what, 2,000 at one point in 2013, right? So just because they're generating a little bit of profit, don't just go based on traditional metrics of PE. Look at their operating cash flow, right? To see like how are they operating, how much operating cash flow they're generating on a year over year business, and and go from there. And like I said, I think they have a long, consistent growth ahead of them, which is what I want to see. And I think it'll happen. I just don't think that people need to go crazy and be like, oh my God, we're going to $30 tomorrow. If it goes to $30 tomorrow, I'll be the first one to sell puts on the thing.
I agree. Let me, before I get Steven's take on this, Steven, I think this is a kind of something you would like to see. So All Things Jay tweeted, he's a part of the Palantir community. They lowered Q4 expectations in Q3. They barely met it. They lowered 2023 rev by 10%, no longer on track for 30% CAGR, but positive EPS. Positive EPS was a simple flip of the switch. Appreciate the 20% growth, but this is a bad year. I hold 5,000 shares. I don't say this lightly. I will have to sit to reevaluate my position. Now, I think Jay is a little bit too bearish for no reason, to be honest, because getting to GAAP profitability this quarter makes a lot of sense. No longer on track for 30% CAGR. I mean, you don't know if that's the case, right? This is something you have to see play out. So I think this is a little bit too bearish. I think Chris's bearish take just now, just like not going all in, is the correct take versus being upset with this quarter. What is your take, Steven? Do you agree with this tweet up here that this was a kind of bad quarter, or do you think that the quarter was all right and hopefully it's just going to keep going up from there?
In full disclosure, the earnings came out when I was in the car. So I listened to the earnings call while driving and sped through all the numbers while we were waiting for the call to finish. So this is completely raw. I really haven't digested them. I think the tweet that you showed, it's an opinion, and it's his opinion, and he's a shareholder, and he has every right to that opinion. If he felt that way, can't change his mind. There's a lot of things on the call that I liked that they discussed. Flipping through the presentation, there's a lot of numbers I like, some numbers I don't like. Adjusted free cash flow going down tremendously. Don't like that. I need to really go through these with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah,
I do like.
But I mean, your raw thoughts, right? Take off the condom, right? Like, what were your raw thoughts?
Thoughts were, I'm no longer neutral, and I have no reason to get rid of the stock in the next 6 months now.
Why? Why are you no longer neutral? Why are you shifting more towards?
Because it seems like Karp has really changed his demeanor. They've controlled his outbursts, and they are growing. They are doing a much better job, as Chris indicated, with their marketing. They're doing I don't know if it's a much better job, but they're still doing a very good job at converting customers, getting more deals. And the fact that this quarter was net income, not adjusted, but actual net income positive, and there's a clear roadmap for continuous growth through 2025, I believe at a 30% rate. I got to run the numbers, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, 90% of it.
Okay, makes sense. Chris?
The thing with IBM is huge.
IBM, go ahead. You can talk on that.
Well, we all knew that they had to deal with IBM a year and a half ago or a year ago when they first did it. But the expansion on that deal, I believe, is going to be very big. IBM has a sales team of over 2,000 people. They have been on the forefront of AI, whether people want to agree with that or not. They have been. And that could just be an indication of what's to come with embedding into Google and Microsoft as well, because they have partnerships with them and they have partnerships with Amazon. So those are things that I'm expecting to bear fruit in the next 3 to 5 years, not overnight. But from a long-term perspective, it's really good news.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with Steven on the last point. I don't think being in partnerships with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all that stuff doesn't mean jack squat. All it just means is that they're able to provide cloud services on there. Like, so basically, if you're a customer who has Google already or Amazon already, Palantir will still be able to work with you. I don't think this is necessarily the, oh my God, like they have a like partnership with Google, so this is going to be the thing. No, all that stuff doesn't matter. I think what's important is that they can do on-prem, they can do Oracle, they can do IBM, they can do Red Hat, hybrid cloud, they can do all the other clouds. So their ability to be everywhere is really good, but it doesn't necessarily mean as much as some people think. I think more importantly, their research in AI and everything else will probably, and I have to really dig down further into this, are they going to license it to somebody? Because a lot of the research that they've done, they've got all these patents. One of the things that you remember the Japanese guy Rachibaku on Twitter, yep. Before he's one of the things, if you guys noticed, dude was just pumping out patents after patents after patents. Like he was like just showing them off. Now, the thing is, if you're going to be in an AI arms race, what are you going to need? You're going to need patents. So I wonder where that licensing comes in, where Palantir is actually being able to say to these third parties to say, hey, you're going to have to pay us in order to use this specific product because we own the patent to it.
So Chris, let me ask you and Steve a question both on this AI thing. So Palantir in his Karp in his shareholder letter says, Our collective focus on AI, including the natural language and processing capabilities, have been recently made more widely available to the public. The transformative potential of software, which we have been building for 2 decades, is in its earliest stage. The demand from customers for our platforms in recent months gained additional momentum. And on the call, he said the consumer internet use cases of ChatGPT is really irrelevant compared to the operational use case of AI in the battlefield. And I think he's saying that from a financial perspective in terms of which one's going to make more money, but also from a like purpose perspective, what's going to matter more in our world. Do you agree with that? Do you think that the operational use case of AI will be a lot more important than the consumer internet facing use case of it?
Oh, you telling me? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think businesses now are all scrambling probably because of ChatGPT to figure out how they're going to include AI in the way they operate, right? It's just like I said, now it's like a giant arms race. This is what happens with any industry. When cloud first came out, everyone said, "Oh, that's a nice gimmick." But then people realize that, hey, if you're on the cloud, there's all these tangible benefits that you get from being 100% on the cloud. So then everyone started to get on the cloud. So now I think there might be an AI arms race where even though technically the face of it is ChatGPT, which is just a LLM, the business itself is going to, and I'm pretty sure this is happening. The CEOs are probably calling each other and calling their teams and saying, what are we doing to use AI to make our business better? Because that's what the CEOs do. They have to become more efficient, right?
Because if your competitor is using it, you've got to be using it, right?
Exactly. So now you have this whole thing with scaling, and whoever's the purveyor of AI in being able to organize your business and seeing tangible value from it, you'll probably invite them in and saying, what can you do for us? Right. So I think a lot more people are going to be open to developing and actually utilizing AI in their organizations, which Palantir could capitalize on.
Stephen, any thoughts on AI or in general the operational use case that Palantir can use with it?
I think it's very early, and it's a story that's going to take years to unfold. And look, they're both going to generate tremendous amounts of revenue operationally and probably on a consumer base. I mean, think about it. ChatGPT, if they do a $10 a month plan for unlimited access and really monetize it, you got to think a lot of people are going to sign up for it, regardless if they really have a use for it or not. Operationally, it'll be built into pretty much every platform in the next couple of years, and it's going to be which companies can implement it the best. And Palantir's been on the forefront of it, so you got to think that this is going to be big for them in some capacity. But these are questions that can't be answered today.
Okay. Question on revenue growth. So 24% year over year, 1.91 billion, not 30% year over year growth, although US revenue was above 30% CAGR and US commercial revenue was 60% year over year growth. I mean, do you think we get to this 30% CAGR 2025? Do you think they're sandbagging? Because with their expectations of 2.2 billion, it's only 20% year over year growth. If they sandbagged profitability, do you think they're sandbagging revenue?
It's a possibility, considering that I don't necessarily think that they had taken into consideration that AI would go more mainstream. But now that it is, I think it's a much more achievable goal. I think they're going to be able to actually get into more doors. So imagine right now, 2 years ago, trying to say that, hey, we're going to be 30% year over year. That was a pie in the sky dream, considering that you were slowing down. But now I think, like I said, it's an arms race. So now just the scenario for them to grow 30% year over year is actually real. And I think it's doable. I don't necessarily think that it's a 100% guaranteed to happen, but it's a lot more doable, and it's a lot easier to go into these doors right now to all these companies and saying, what are you doing for AI? We're Palantir. We sell AI to Ukraine to fight off the Russians. We can sell you AI products so that you can beat your competitors.
Yeah, two things on that. What Chris said is a really good analogy, because Palantir, they can come out and say we're the gold standard. All the governments trust us. And if you're trusting us on the battlefield, you can trust us in the boardroom. It's a powerful statement that nobody else can really say. And from a revenue standpoint, yeah, the 23% wasn't the 30, and a little bit of a miss there. But you look at deals closed, 61% year over year growth. You have 976 deals closed now from 605 in the past year. And then I'm looking at Just in Q4, 55 deals were closed, 11 of which were at least 5 million. When you think about cloud, companies still have not completely done their transformation into cloud. And AWS, Azure, and Google is a distant number 3 with Google Cloud, has seen immense growth over the past decade. I think that, my opinion, AI is going to be similar because this is the next frontier of software platforms. And we are not even in the beginning, we're in the infant stages of it. There is a long line of growth in this. How it plays out could be similar to cloud, maybe not to the monetary dollar amount because of everything that goes with hosting, but at least from a business viability standpoint, it's going to have serious ramifications. Companies are going to have to retool, and this is a big opportunity for Palantir.